It's Tuesday, the 20th of February, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's get going. Story number 1, the gap between house prices and unit prices has soared. As one of the country's top real estate agents says, the divide between the top end and the bottom end has widened substantially.
Houses have always sold for a premium over units, but rising land values, scarcity and a desire for more space through the pandemic and beyond means the premium for houses in the capital cities has jumped sharply. At the onset of the pandemic in March 2020, the house premium, or difference between the median capital city house price and the unit price, was just 16.7%. 4 years on, it's now 45.2%. Since the onset of the pandemic to January this year, house values are up 34%, units are up just 11%, according to CoreLogic. Sydney's seen the largest expansion in the house premium, which now sits at 68%. Adelaide, Brisbane, Darwin and Melbourne all sit somewhere between 55 and 60%. In the regions, the premium is far less, sitting at just 16%. It means if you own a house, you've done much better. It also means there are more opportunities for buyers of units.
And Sean, just briefly, the data was backed up yesterday by listed real estate group McGrath.
Yes, Chief Executive John McGrath said the top end of the market is as strong as he has seen in 40 years. But at the other end, first and second home buyers have been definitely impacted by higher rates, affordability and their confidence being knocked around. Australia's property market has become a tale of two halves, according to John McGrath. Wealthier suburbs, notably in Sydney and Melbourne, are seeing strong price growth and buyer activity. He reckons that will continue. He also says homes within a 10-kilometre radius of Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne CBDs will perform well.
Story number 2, Sean. Star Entertainment faces a second major inquiry into its Sydney gaming operations after the state's casino regulator said that it isn't satisfied that the company's made enough changes to regain its licence.
Adam Bell, SC, the Sydney barrister who conducted an earlier inquiry into Star's Sydney Casino, has been appointed to run the review. It's due to conclude in May. Now, the outcome will determine if the Independent Casino Commission in New South Wales allows the Star to keep operating. It will specifically consider whether Star has enough money to operate properly and whether its management, reporting lines and compliance are adequate. Apparently, the regulator is concerned that many of the changes that have been pushed through were done so by the state-appointed manager rather than the company. Mr. Bell, in his first report published in 2022, found Star was unsuitable to hold its licence, describing its operations as a case study of unethical conduct and cultural failure that allowed $900 million to be washed through its casino.
Okay, on to story number 3 now, Sean. And Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Australia stands ready to support Papua New Guinea authorities in quelling violence after more than 50 people were killed in a massacre on the north of the country.
Mr. Albanese said the government is ready to assist the Pacific nation after 53 people or more were reportedly killed in a major escalation of tribal fighting. Apparently, one of the tribes was on their way to attack a neighbouring tribe when it was ambushed. Police have called for calm. Local police believe it could be the largest massacre in PNG's highlands in recent history. It involves the same tribes that killed more than 60 people last year.
Okay, story number 4, back home again. Hearing implant group Cochlear has reported a bumper profit and dividend on the back of a surge in demand for its products as people better understand the link between declining hearing and general health and cognition.
Chief Executive Dig Howard said there is an unmet clinical need of adults and seniors with severe to profound hearing loss who get poor outcomes using hearing aids. As people become more aware of their options and the evidence emerges of the link between hearing loss and cognitive decline, demand for cochlear implants has increased. Mr. Howard said people are living longer and want to be active for as long as possible. Sales, underlying profit and the dividend at Cochlear were all at record levels for the first half of the year. Now, 2 weeks ago, Cochlear informed the market of that. Hence, it was expected. Therefore, the share price fell 2% yesterday. But still, it's interesting just how much more focus is on hearing.
Yeah, indeed. And last story number 5, Sean. The European Union is set to impose its first ever fine on tech giant Apple for allegedly breaking EU law over access to its music streaming services.
The Financial Times is reporting that the fine, which could be the equivalent of $1 billion, is expected to be announced early next month and is the culmination of a European Commission antitrust probe into whether Apple has used its own platform to favour its services over those of competitors. The probe is investigating whether Apple blocked apps from informing iPhone users of cheaper alternatives to access music subscriptions outside the App Store. It was launched after music streaming app Spotify had made a formal complaint to regulators in 2019. The Commission will say Apple's actions are illegal and go against the bloc's rules that enforce competition in the single market. It will ban Apple's practice of blocking music services from letting users outside its App Store switch to cheaper alternatives.
Okay, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Tuesday, the 20th of February, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed Business News wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.